control systems and how we can simulate that. Now, as I said, or as I told you before, basically now it's time to use ready simulator, because our focus in this course is not only on building simulations but also on learning more about self-driving cars techniques. So the objective of using Carla simulator, which as you see here, is that we will use a ready simulator and we will try to apply different self-driving car techniques. Carla is an open source simulator for self-driving car research. It is built using Unreal Game Engine. It's open source, which means you can actually open it also with Unreal Game Engine and you can edit it there. And you can use it within the engine, or you can use it externally, as we will see now. So in this session, what I want from you is basically to install it and try the examples files that are provided within the source that you can install. I will show you how you install it, how you run it on Windows. On Linux also it's possible. So the main two operation systems that you can run Carlo on basically are Windows and Linux. If you have a Mac, it's also possible, but it's not easy to build it for Mac. So Windows and Ubuntu. So this is basically the website of Carla. So it's carla.org. It has, of course, GitHub page or GitHub repository and documentation. So it is very, I would say, nice simulator. It has a huge community, so you can find many, I would say, examples online. You can see, like, you also see integration with ROS, which is a robotic operation system. You can see many examples where machine learning or deep learning is also involved. Yeah, so it's really a nice simulator. You can edit or create new maps, so new environments, new roads, and so on as well. Okay, so what you need to do first of all is to install Carla. So if I go to the installation summary, as I said, you can install it on Ubuntu or Debian or Linux, basically in general, or you can install it on Windows. So I would let me see here. So not installation summary. So go to. We are not interested in Windows build, so we just need actually the Windows executable file. So if I go to GitHub, then probably to the download page, then we have Carla for Windows, or let me take this first. Then yeah, let's download the Carla 0.9.10 for Windows. And this is if you want additional maps. It's also better. You can please download these two. Now, once you download the Carla zip file, you can unzip it wherever you want. It's better to have space for it. And once you unzip it, basically, you would have this folder. And then inside this folder, you have Windows No Editor, which means here it's not a built Unreal Engine game, which means you cannot open it with the Unreal Editor. If you want to open it with Unreal Editor, you need to build it from the source code or from source. There are also many documentation how to do that. It's not that difficult, but it's not our focus now. We have learned how we can use Unreal Game Engine. Now let's see how we can use Carla. And if you are interested in editing Carla with Unreal Game Engine, then you need to build it from the source. Okay, so if I go in the Windows No Editor, the first thing that you can run is actually the Carla UE4, which is basically this is the executable file for Windows. You also can find the sh file for Linux if you download the Linux version. If you run basically, let me close this. Okay. If you need first to start this one, which is called also the server. So this is basically the server that is basically, of course, rendering the scene and receiving actions or inputs from clients. And these clients are, we have either Python client or C++ client. So what we will be using mainly is, or actually we will be using is the Python client. We have learned also on the Unreal Engine part how to use C++ with the game engine. So if you're interested in that also you can continue. So this is one of the maps. I'm just here controlling it with my WASD keys on my keyboard. So it's just like a game. We are going left and right, and with my mouse I'm controlling the scene. You can see we have a city here. Now it's an empty city, but this is one of the maps that you can use for training, modeling a self-driving car. Now, if you look at the Python API folder, there is the Python client. And here we have, this is basically a Python package, Carla package that we need, and we have the examples there. So we have different examples that we will look at some of them now. What you need to do, for example, either in Linux, make sure that you have Python 3.7. I don't think they have updated yet to 3.8 or 9, so it works better with 3.7. And it's better to have either Anaconda or you need to create Python virtual environment. So I'll let you know how to do it now with Anaconda. With Python virtual environment is not different actually, so it's exactly the same. So if you are using Anaconda, then you need to create a virtual environment, and for example, that is using Python 3.7. So what I'm doing here is, yeah, it's also not important, very important now, but it's good to go to the directory of the examples. And this here I'm using not the normal or the default command line or prompt. Here I'm using the Anaconda prompt, so the Anaconda command line. And here basically if you don't have, you need to install Anaconda. Then when you install Anaconda you can get it like just you need to search for Anaconda prompt. Now here I would like to now create virtual environment, which is a Python virtual environment, which means in this virtual environment I would have all the dependencies or packages that I want to use, and these dependencies basically would be packaged within this environment. So the command is basically that conda creates n, and here you need to give the name of the environment. For example, I'll call it Carla virtual environment. Then which Python? I want to use Python 3.7. So it will ask you, and you say yes, and here now it's creating the virtual environment for you. Now we can basically activate this virtual environment, so we can then, now whenever we run Python, we are using this virtual environment. So I need to run conda activate Carla virtual environment, and in Linux you would need to use conda source activate Carla virtual environment. And now if it is activated, then you would see here the indication that we are using now Carla virtual environment. Next is to install the dependencies. And here if we look at the Carla examples, we have requirements, and inside this requirement we have all the Python environments or packages that we need. So this is what I will do now. You need to write pip install r, so this, then requirement. So now it will install all the basically the packages that are within these requirements that are needed by Carla. Just take a while. Okay, now it's installed. Okay, so the next step is now we can basically run these Python files. Hope that they would run now. So you have different examples, and from the name you can see what actually each script can do. For example, we have manual control, which means now I can actually spawn a vehicle. Spawn is basically means that I place an actor in that scene, and this actor is a vehicle. I talked about spawns basically in the Unreal Engine part. And then you can control this manually. So you can actually, by using your keyboard actions, you can control it. There's automatic control, which you're using basically lateral and longitudinal control, and it's already built in, as you can see. There are other codes like spawn for here, where it can now spawn like AI, like train, like it will spawn different other cars than your car, and also pedestrians in the scene. There is also recording if you want to record the scene and basically maybe use that later to train a machine learning model, for example. Okay, and yeah, there are for LiDAR or LiDAR also is called. This basically laser scanner or 3D laser scanner sensor that is used in self-driving cars. Tesla stopped using LiDAR, and there was a huge, of course, discussions about whether it's good decision or not. So Tesla said it's basically to rely now or up from now only on machine vision and not LiDAR. Yeah, because they claim that human drivers, they don't have LiDAR, but they use their own only eyes. So if we solve the vision problem, then autonomous vehicles also can do that. Yeah, so of course LiDAR, if you have a LiDAR, it's better in general because you have additional information and you can react maybe faster to accidents or to, let's say, if the car is driving in bad conditions, like it's raining or snowing or it's night, or where of course vision is not clear, then LiDAR could help in that basically situation. But of course, the issue of LiDAR is very expensive, and that's why Tesla doesn't want to use it. Yeah, and also they claim it's not useful, but I disagree with it. So basically, now what we can do is we can just run Python or Python 3, and I would like to run the manual control. Make sure that this is on, because if it's on, you would see here an error. So because it could not connect to the server. This is our server. Yeah, it didn't. Wait. Okay, so only Python then. Okay, so do you see first that will open another window, and this window is a Pygame window. So what is happening here, we'll look at the code later, is that this Python client is taking basically the rendered scene from Unreal Game Engine and rendering it again in the Pygame environment, and then of course adding all the features that you can use with Python. So what we see now is we see the vehicle that we can control, and of course here we see that there is a server, which is our Unreal Game Engine, that is